Deep in the heart of ancient forests and whispered through the annals of time, there exists a world where reality blurs with myth, where the line between history and legend fades into the shadows. What if I told you that the sorcerers of old, those enigmatic figures like Merlin, Circe, and Baba Yaga, were more than just figments of imagination? What if their stories, their powers, and their prophecies hold secrets that still echo in our world today? These legendary figures didn't just wield magic, they shaped cultures, inspired empires, and left behind mysteries that continue to baffle and intrigue us. How did a single sorcerer's vision alter the fate of kingdoms? What truths lie hidden beneath the layers of their myths? And why, centuries later, do their tales still hold us spellbound? In this journey, we'll uncover the myths, the mysteries, and the truths behind these legendary sorcerers, blending history, wonder, and a touch of the unknown. So, are you ready to step into their world and unravel the secrets they guarded so fiercely? Let's begin. Long before the towering castles and grand libraries of medieval Europe, the roots of sorcery stretched deep into the soil of humanity's earliest civilizations. Picture this, a shaman in the flickering firelight of a prehistoric tribe, chanting invocations to unseen forces. These early practitioners were more than mere storytellers. They were the first sorcerers, bridging the gap between the physical world and the mysteries beyond. In their hands, magic wasn't just a tool, it was a language, a way to commune with the divine and interpret the will of the gods. As societies grew more complex, so too did their understanding of the mystical. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, sorcery took on a new form. Here, priest-magicians served as intermediaries, translating the desires of the gods for the people. Figures like Enki, the Babylonian god of wisdom and water, were revered not only as deities but as master sorcerers. Enki's myths speak of him shaping the world with his incantations, crafting rivers and oceans with words of power. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, Thoth, the ibis-headed god of knowledge and magic, was said to have written the very spells that held the cosmos together. His sacred texts, the Books of Thoth, were believed to contain the secrets of life, death, and the afterlife. These early sorcerers weren't just figures of worship, they were the architects of their cultures. Their stories weren't mere entertainment, they were blueprints for understanding the universe. Through their myths, they taught their people how to navigate the chaos of existence, offering hope, wisdom, and a sense of order. And yet, their power came with a price. To wield such influence was to walk a dangerous line between reverence and fear. The same figures who could summon rain from the skies or heal the sick were also seen as potential threats, capable of curses and calamities. What's fascinating is how these ancient archetypes laid the groundwork for the sorcerers we know today. The shaman became the wise wizard, the priest-magician evolved into the enigmatic sorcerer, and the gods who once walked among mortals transformed into legends. But the essence of their power, their ability to bridge worlds, to command forces beyond human understanding, remained unchanged. And as we'll see, this ancient foundation would shape the stories of sorcerers for centuries to come, from the misty hills of Celtic lore to the shadowed forests of Slavic myth. From the misty hills of Wales emerges one of the most enduring figures in the tapestry of magical lore, Merlin. More than just a sorcerer, Merlin embodies the archetype of the wise magician, a figure who walks the line between humanity and the divine. His story begins not in the grand halls of Camelot, but in the ancient myths of Wales, where he was known as Myrddin, a prophet and wild man of the forests. Over time, his legend grew, weaving its way into the heart of Arthurian tales, where he became the guiding force behind one of the most famous kings in history. Merlin's origins are as enigmatic as the man himself. In Welsh mythology, he is often portrayed as a figure touched by madness, a seer who roamed the wilderness, speaking in riddles and prophecies. Some tales suggest he was born of a mortal woman and a supernatural being, granting him powers beyond human comprehension. This duality, part man, part otherworldly, shaped his role as both a sage and a trickster. He was the voice of wisdom, yet capable of mischief, a paradox that made him endlessly fascinating. It was in the medieval retellings of the Arthurian legends that Merlin truly came into his own. Here, he became the architect of Arthur's destiny, orchestrating the young king's rise to power with a blend of foresight and sorcery. From orchestrating other Pendragon's deception to ensure Arthur's birth, to placing the sword Excalibur in the stone, Merlin's hand was ever present, guiding the fate of a kingdom. His role as Arthur's advisor was not just about wielding magic. It was about imparting wisdom, teaching the young king the values of justice, courage, and leadership. But Merlin's story is not without its shadows. His relationship with Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, is one of the most poignant and tragic elements of his myth. Nimue, a sorceress in her own right, became both his student and his downfall. Entrusted with Merlin's secrets, she ultimately used his own magic against him, trapping him in a cave or beneath a tree, depending on the version of the tale. This betrayal speaks to the darker side of sorcery, a reminder that even the wisest and most powerful are not immune to the vulnerabilities of the heart. Merlin's legacy is a tapestry of light and shadow, wisdom and folly. He represents the eternal allure of the sorcerer, a figure who can shape the world with their knowledge, yet remains forever bound by their human frailties. And as we turn our gaze to other legendary figures like Morgan Le Fay, we see these themes echoed and amplified, revealing the complex and often perilous nature of magical power. While Merlin's story is one of wisdom and tragedy, Morgan Le Fay's tale is a whirlwind of contradictions, a character as enigmatic as she is powerful. Often depicted as both a healer and a villain, Morgan's role in Arthurian legend defies simple categorization. She is a figure of immense complexity, embodying the duality of magic itself, capable of great good and terrible destruction. Her origins trace back to the ancient myths of fairy queens, ethereal beings who wielded magic with grace and authority. Over time, she became entwined with the Arthurian saga, taking on the role of King Arthur's half-sister and one of his most formidable adversaries. Morgan's journey begins in the misty realms of Celtic folklore, where she was revered as a fairy queen, a being of otherworldly beauty and power. In these early tales, she was a protector of the land, a healer who used her magic to mend wounds and soothe troubled spirits. But as her story merged with the Arthurian legends, her character evolved into something far more layered. In texts like Le Morte d'Arthur, she is portrayed as Arthur's half-sister, a sorceress of unparalleled skill who harbors a deep-seated resentment toward her brother and his court. This shift in her role reflects the medieval fascination with the tension between light and dark, order and chaos. What makes Morgan so compelling is her mastery of magic, a skill she honed to rival even Merlin himself. While Merlin's magic was rooted in wisdom and prophecy, Morgan's was deeply personal, driven by emotion and ambition. She was a shapeshifter capable of transforming herself and others, and her knowledge of herbs and potions made her a formidable healer. Yet her powers were not limited to benevolence. She used her abilities to manipulate, deceive, and even harm those who crossed her. Her rivalry with Merlin is particularly telling, a clash of titans that underscores her intelligence and resourcefulness. Where Merlin sought to guide and protect, Morgan often acted out of personal desire, blurring the lines between right and wrong. Her ambiguous morality is one of her most intriguing traits. In some versions of the legend, she is a villain orchestrating plots to undermine Arthur and seize power. In others, she is a tragic figure, a woman wronged by the men in her life who turns to magic as a means of reclaiming her agency. This duality makes her a fascinating study in the nature of power and the choices that define us. For example, in Le Morte d'Arthur, she is instrumental in the downfall of Camelot, yet she also plays a crucial role in Arthur's final journey to Avalon, suggesting a lingering bond between siblings despite their conflicts. Morgan's story is also a reflection of the societal norms of her time, particularly the expectations placed on women. As a sorceress, she defied the traditional roles of wife and mother, choosing instead to carve her own path. Her independence and ambition made her a threat to the patriarchal order of Camelot, and her magic became a symbol of resistance. In this way, she paved the way for other female sorcerers who challenged societal norms, from the cunning Circe of Greek myth to the fearsome Baba Yaga of Slavic folklore. These women, like Morgan, used their powers to assert their autonomy, proving that magic could be a tool of liberation as much as domination. Morgan Le Fay's legacy is one of complexity and contradiction, a reminder that magic, and those who wield it, cannot be easily defined. Her story invites us to question our assumptions about power, morality, and the roles we assign to figures of myth and legend. As we turn to other female sorcerers who defied convention, we see how Morgan's influence echoes through the ages, a testament to the enduring allure of those who dare to walk the line between light and shadow. From the shadowed forests of Celtic and Arthurian legends, we journey now to the sun-drenched shores of ancient Greece, where the enchantress Circe weaves her spells. Unlike Morgan Le Fay, whose power was rooted in the tension between loyalty and ambition, Circe stands as a figure of unapologetic autonomy. In the world of Greek mythology, where gods and mortals often clashed, Circe carved out a space entirely her own, a realm where her magic reigned supreme and her will was law. Her story, immortalized in Homer's Odyssey, is one of transformation, both literal and symbolic, offering a glimpse into the ancient world's fascination with the boundaries of power and identity. Circe's most famous encounter comes during Odysseus's long voyage home from the Trojan War. When his crew stumbles upon her island, Aea, they find a woman of unparalleled beauty and danger. With a wave of her hand and the whisper of a spell, she transforms Odysseus's men into swine, a vivid metaphor for the loss of reason and humanity. Yet Circe is no mere villain. Her actions are not born of malice but of a desire to assert control in a world that often sought to diminish her. She is a sorceress who refuses to be underestimated, wielding her magic as both a weapon and a shield. What makes Circe so compelling is her duality. On one hand, she is a master of potions and spells, capable of bending the natural world to her will. Her knowledge of herbs and incantations is unmatched, a testament to her intelligence and resourcefulness. On the other hand, she is a deeply human figure, driven by emotions that resonate across the centuries. Her relationship with Odysseus is a prime example. After his men are transformed, Odysseus confronts her, armed with a protective herb given to him by the god Hermes. Yet instead of battling him, Circe recognizes his cunning and resilience, inviting him to share her table and her bed. Their time together is marked by a strange intimacy, a blend of mutual respect and fleeting affection. For a year, they live as equals, each recognizing the other's strength. Circe's role as a symbol of feminine power is impossible to ignore. In a patriarchal society, she represents a woman who refuses to conform, who creates her own rules and lives by them. Her island is a sanctuary of independence, a place where she is free to explore her craft without interference. This autonomy makes her both revered and feared, a reminder of what happens when women step outside the boundaries set for them. Her story has inspired countless reinterpretations in literature and art, from Renaissance paintings to modern novels, each exploring her complexity in new ways. Comparing Circe to other mythological sorceresses reveals fascinating parallels and contrasts. Like Medea, another powerful enchantress from Greek mythology, Circe uses her magic to protect herself and assert her will. Yet where Medea's story is steeped in tragedy and vengeance, Circe's is marked by a quieter, more introspective strength. She does not seek to destroy but to create, to shape the world around her in ways that reflect her vision. This distinction highlights the varied ways in which mythological sorceresses navigated their roles, each offering a unique lens through which to view the themes of power, independence, and transformation. As we leave the shores of Yore and continue our exploration of legendary sorcerers, Circe's legacy lingers a testament to the enduring allure of those who dare to defy expectations and chart their own course. Her story invites us to question the boundaries we place on power and the ways in which we perceive those who wield it. And as we turn to other figures like the enigmatic Baba Yaga, we'll see how these themes of transformation and autonomy echo across cultures and centuries, weaving a tapestry as rich and varied as the myths themselves. From the sunlit shores of Circe's Yore, we now venture into the darker, more turbulent waters of Medea's tale, a story of love, betrayal, and the intoxicating power of revenge. Unlike Circe, who wielded her magic with a measured independence, Medea's journey is one of profound transformation, shaped by passion and pain. A princess of Colchis and a priestess of Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, Medea begins her story as a devoted ally to Jason, the hero who sought the Golden Fleece. But her path takes a tragic turn, revealing the devastating consequences of unchecked emotion and the moral complexity of those who command the mystical arts. Medea's introduction to mythology is as dramatic as her eventual downfall. When Jason arrives in Colchis, tasked with retrieving the Golden Fleece, it is Medea who becomes his greatest asset. Gifted with extraordinary knowledge of potions and spells, she aids Jason in overcoming the seemingly impossible trials set by her father, King Aeates. Her love for Jason is fierce and unwavering, driving her to betray her family and homeland. In one of the most striking moments of her myth, she uses her magic to protect Jason from the fire-breathing bulls and the sleepless dragon guarding the fleece. Her actions secure Jason's victory, but they also mark the beginning of her unraveling. What sets Medea apart is the depth of her emotional journey. Her magic, initially a tool of devotion, becomes a weapon of vengeance as her world crumbles around her. After fleeing Colchis with Jason, she helps him reclaim his throne in Iolcus by using her powers to manipulate and murder. Yet, even these acts of loyalty are not enough to shield her from betrayal. When Jason abandons her for another woman, Medea's grief and rage consume her, transforming her from a loving partner into a figure of terrifying retribution. In a chilling act of vengeance, she kills Jason's new bride, and in some versions of the story, even her own children, ensuring that Jason's legacy is one of sorrow and ruin. Medea's use of magic is as morally complex as her character. Her abilities are not just about transformation or healing, they are extensions of her emotions, reflecting her inner turmoil. When she brews potions to heal or harm, it is with the same intensity that she loves and hates. This duality makes her one of mythology's most compelling figures, a woman whose power is both her strength and her undoing. Her actions force us to confront difficult questions about justice, morality, and the limits of forgiveness. Is she a monster or a victim of her own heart? The answer is as elusive as the shadows she casts. Her legacy in literature and drama is as enduring as it is haunting. Euripides' tragedy Medea immortalizes her story, portraying her as a woman pushed to the brink by a world that underestimated her. The play's exploration of her psyche, her pain, her rage, her humanity has resonated for centuries, inspiring countless adaptations and interpretations. In modern retellings, Medea is often seen as a symbol of feminist defiance, a woman who refuses to be silenced or subdued. Yet, her story also serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked power and emotion. Medea's tale is a stark contrast to the more measured sorcerers we've explored, like Merlin or Circe. Where they sought to guide or protect, Medea's magic is deeply personal, a reflection of her inner world. Her story underscores the dual nature of sorcery, its capacity to create and destroy, to heal and harm. And as we move forward, examining figures like Baba Yaga, we'll see how this theme of duality continues to shape the myths of sorcerers across cultures, revealing the timeless allure of those who walk the line between light and darkness. Moving from the tragic intensity of Medea's story, we now turn our focus to a universal theme woven through the myths of sorcerers across cultures, the dual nature of magic itself. Sorcery, at its core, is neither inherently good nor evil. It is a reflection of the wielder's intent, a tool capable of both creation and destruction. This duality is beautifully encapsulated in the figure of Odin, the Norse god of wisdom, war, and magic. Known as the All-Father, Odin's mastery of runes and spells exemplifies the delicate balance between life-giving power and devastating force. His story, like those of many legendary sorcerers, reveals humanity's deep ambivalence toward power and the knowledge that comes with it. Odin's journey to acquire the runes is a tale of sacrifice and transformation. According to Norse mythology, he hung himself from the world tree Yggdrasil for 9 days and nights, pierced by his own spear, to gain the wisdom of the runes. This act of self-sacrifice was not just a physical trial but a spiritual one, symbolizing the price of true knowledge. The runes he gained were not mere symbols, they were conduits of magic capable of healing, protecting, and even summoning the dead. Yet, these same runes could also be used to curse, to incite chaos, and to dominate others. Odin's dual role as a healer and a warrior underscores the inherent tension within sorcery, a power that can nurture or destroy depending on who wields it and how. This theme of duality is not unique to Norse mythology. Across cultures, sorcerers are often depicted as figures who straddle the line between light and shadow. In ancient Egypt, the god Thoth, though primarily a figure of wisdom and writing, also held dominion over the darker aspects of magic. His sacred texts were believed to contain spells for both resurrection and destruction, reflecting the belief that knowledge itself is neutral. It is the application that determines its moral weight. Similarly, in Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga, the enigmatic witch of the forest, is both a fearsome figure who devours the unwary and a wise crone who offers guidance to those who earn her favor. Her unpredictable nature mirrors the dual potential of magic itself, unpredictable, dangerous, yet capable of profound insight. What makes this duality so compelling is how it mirrors humanity's own relationship with power. Throughout history, we have sought knowledge and mastery over the natural world, yet we remain wary of the consequences. The myths of sorcerers serve as cautionary tales, reminding us that power, no matter how noble its intent, carries risks. This ambivalence is especially evident in stories of forbidden knowledge. Take, for example, the biblical tale of the Tree of Knowledge in the Garden of Eden. The fruit it bore granted wisdom, but its consumption came at a cost: exile and suffering. Similarly, in Greek mythology, Prometheus's gift of fire to humanity brought enlightenment but also divine punishment. These stories echo the same warning. The pursuit of knowledge and power is a double-edged sword. As we delve deeper into the myths of sorcerers, this theme of duality becomes impossible to ignore. Their stories challenge us to confront our own desires and fears, to question the boundaries we place on power, and to consider the consequences of wielding it. Whether it's Odin's runes, Thoth's spells, or Baba Yaga's enigmatic wisdom, the message is clear. Magic, like any form of power, is a force of transformation, capable of both creation and destruction. And as we explore the concept of forbidden knowledge in the next section, we'll see how this tension continues to shape the myths of sorcerers, offering timeless lessons about the nature of power and the human condition. Throughout history, the pursuit of knowledge has been a double-edged sword, a path fraught with both wonder and peril. For sorcerers, this quest often came at a cost, one that could be as steep as it was inevitable. The myths and legends surrounding these figures are filled with warnings about the dangers of seeking power beyond human limits, of reaching for truths that were never meant to be grasped. From Faust's infamous pact with the devil to the lonely exile of Prospero, the price of sorcery is a recurring theme, one that speaks to humanity's deep-seated ambivalence about the boundaries of knowledge and the consequences of crossing them. Take the story of Faust, the scholar who traded his soul for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures. In the original German legend, Faust's insatiable curiosity leads him to summon Mephistopheles, a demon who offers him boundless power in exchange for his eternal soul. Faust's tale is a cautionary one, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge, when driven by arrogance or greed, can lead to ruin. His eventual damnation serves as a stark warning. There are limits to what humans should seek to know, and the cost of ignoring those limits can be catastrophic. The Faustian bargain has become a cultural shorthand for the dangers of overreaching, a symbol of the moral and spiritual risks inherent in the quest for power. But the price of sorcery isn't always as dramatic as eternal damnation. Sometimes it's paid in isolation, in the loneliness that comes with wielding powers that set one apart from the rest of humanity. Consider Prospero, the exiled duke and sorcerer from Shakespeare's The Tempest. Stripped of his title and banished to a remote island, Prospero turns to magic as a means of reclaiming control over his life. Yet, his mastery of the arcane arts comes at the cost of his connection to others. His daughter Miranda is his only companion, and even their relationship is strained by his single-minded focus on revenge and redemption. Prospero's story is a poignant exploration of the sacrifices that come with power, how the very thing that sets sorcerers apart can also alienate them from the world they seek to influence. These stories are more than just entertaining tales. They carry profound moral lessons. At their core, they ask us to consider the ethical implications of seeking knowledge and power. What happens when curiosity becomes obsession? What are the consequences of prioritizing ambition over humanity? The myths of sorcerers serve as mirrors, reflecting our own struggles with these questions. They remind us that knowledge, while valuable, must be pursued with humility and respect for its limits. The sorcerer's journey is often one of transformation, but it's also a reminder that not all transformations are for the better. What's particularly fascinating is how these tales often cast sorcerers as outsiders or rebels, figures who defy societal norms in their quest for power. This outsider status is both a source of their strength and their vulnerability. On one hand, it allows them to see beyond the constraints of tradition and convention, to explore realms of knowledge that others might fear or reject. On the other hand, it isolates them, cutting them off from the very communities they might seek to protect or enlighten. This tension between rebellion and rejection is a key part of the sorcerer's identity, a reflection of the broader human struggle to balance individuality with belonging. As we reflect on these stories, we're reminded that the allure of forbidden knowledge is as timeless as it is dangerous. The myths of sorcerers challenge us to confront our own desires for power and understanding, to weigh the costs against the rewards. They invite us to consider not just what we can achieve, but what we might lose in the process. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this journey, exploring how sorcerers have been portrayed as both heroes and villains, we'll see how these themes continue to shape our understanding of magic, power, and the human condition. Sorcerers have always been more than just wielders of magic. They are often the ultimate outsiders, figures who defy convention and challenge the status quo. This outsider status is a recurring thread in their stories, shaping their identities and the roles they play in their respective mythologies. Take Loki, the Norse trickster god, for example. Though not a traditional sorcerer, Loki's cunning and shape-shifting abilities align him closely with the archetype of the magical rebel. He exists on the fringes of the god's society, neither fully trusted nor entirely rejected. His outsider status grants him a unique perspective, allowing him to see cracks in the system that others overlook. Yet it also makes him a target, a scapegoat for the chaos that inevitably follows in his wake. Loki's story is a testament to the power and peril of living on the margins, a theme that resonates deeply with many legendary sorcerers. The Celtic Druids, too, embody this tension between rebellion and rejection. These ancient priests and sorcerers were not just spiritual leaders, they were also symbols of resistance against the Roman Empire's encroachment. The Druids' deep connection to nature and their role as keepers of sacred knowledge set them apart from Roman authority, making them both revered and feared. Their rituals, often conducted in secluded groves, were acts of defiance against the Roman demand for conformity. Yet this very defiance made them vulnerable. The Romans viewed the Druids as threats to their control, leading to their persecution and eventual decline. The Druids' story is a poignant reminder of how sorcerers often stand at the crossroads of power and vulnerability, their unique abilities both a source of strength and a liability. This outsider status isn't just about rebellion, it's also about connection. Many legendary sorcerers are deeply tied to the natural world, drawing their power from the elements and the cycles of the earth. Their magic is often rooted in a profound understanding of the natural order, a relationship that sets them apart from the rigid structures of human society. Consider the Slavic witch Baba Yaga, who lives in a hut that stands on chicken legs deep in the forest. Her home is a reflection of her liminal existence, neither fully part of the human world nor entirely separate from it. Her magic is wild and untamed, mirroring the untamed wilderness that surrounds her. This connection to nature gives her power, but it also isolates her, making her a figure of both awe and fear. The link between sorcerers and nature is a recurring theme across cultures. In many traditions, sorcerers are seen as intermediaries between humanity and the natural world, individuals who can harness the elements and commune with the spirits of the land. This role often places them at odds with more structured, hierarchical societies, which seek to control or suppress such untamed forces. The sorcerer's outsider status, then, is not just a matter of rebellion. It's a reflection of their unique position as guardians of the natural world, a role that is both empowering and isolating. As we delve deeper into the myths of sorcerers, this theme of rebellion and connection becomes increasingly significant. Their stories challenge us to reconsider the boundaries we place on power and knowledge, and to question the systems that seek to control them. Whether it's Loki's cunning, the Druids' resistance, or Baba Yaga's wild magic, these figures remind us that true power often lies in the margins, in the spaces between order and chaos, society and nature. And as we explore how sorcerers have been portrayed as both heroes and villains, we'll see how this tension continues to shape our understanding of magic and the human condition. For sorcerers, magic was never just about wielding power. It was about understanding the world on a deeper level, about seeing the threads that connect all living things. Across cultures, these figures were often portrayed as masters of the natural world, their abilities rooted in an intimate relationship with the earth, the sky, and the creatures that inhabit them. Whether summoning storms, speaking with animals, or drawing strength from the elements, sorcerers embodied a profound connection to nature that set them apart from ordinary mortals. This bond wasn't just a source of their power, it was a reflection of their role as intermediaries between humanity and the forces that shape the universe. Take, for example, the Native American shamans, spiritual leaders whose magic was deeply intertwined with the rhythms of the land. These figures were more than healers or seers. They were bridges between the physical and spiritual realms. Their rituals often involved communing with animal spirits, invoking the power of the wind, rain, and sun to bring balance to their communities. A shaman might call upon the spirit of the eagle for wisdom or the bear for strength, drawing on the traits of these creatures to guide and protect. This connection to nature wasn't just symbolic, it was a fundamental part of their identity, a way of life that emphasized harmony and respect for the earth. Their magic was a reminder that humanity is not separate from nature but an integral part of it. Similarly, in Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga stands as a powerful embodiment of the wild, untamed forces of the natural world. Living in a hut that moves on chicken legs deep in the heart of the forest, she is both a guardian and a threat. Her magic is as unpredictable as the wilderness itself, sometimes offering guidance and healing, other times bringing destruction. Baba Yaga's connection to nature is central to her identity. She is a figure who thrives in the margins, where the boundaries between the human and natural worlds blur. Her knowledge of herbs, her ability to command the elements, and her communion with the spirits of the forest all speak to a deep, primal understanding of the universe. She is a reminder that nature is not something to be conquered but respected, a force that demands humility and reverence. What's fascinating is how these figures reflect a broader cultural understanding of the relationship between humanity and the natural world. Sorcerers like the Native American shamans and Baba Yaga were not just individuals with extraordinary abilities. They were symbols of a worldview that saw nature as alive, sentient, and sacred. Their magic was a way of engaging with this world, of tapping into its rhythms and cycles to bring about change. This connection to nature often set them apart from the more rigid, hierarchical structures of human society, placing them in a liminal space where they could act as both protectors and challengers of the status quo. This deep bond between sorcerers and nature also highlights the role of rituals and tools in their craft. Whether it's the shaman's drum, used to enter trance states and communicate with spirits, or the herbs and potions brewed by Baba Yaga, these tools were extensions of their connection to the natural world. Rituals, too, played a crucial role, serving as a way to channel and focus the energies of the earth. Through these practices, sorcerers were able to harness the power of nature, not as conquerors but as partners, working in harmony with the forces that sustain life. As we explore the rituals and tools that defined their craft, we'll see how these elements were not just practical necessities but profound expressions of a worldview that saw magic as a natural, integral part of existence. The sorcerer's connection to nature was more than just a source of power. It was a way of seeing the world, a reminder that true magic lies in understanding and respecting the delicate balance of life itself. At the heart of every sorcerer's craft lies a collection of tools and rituals, each imbued with significance and purpose. These objects and practices were far more than mere accessories. They were conduits designed to channel and amplify the magical energies that sorcerers sought to command. From the humble one to the intricate sigil, each tool carried its own story, rooted in the beliefs and traditions of the cultures that created them. These rituals and instruments were not just about performing magic, they were about connecting with the forces that govern the universe, bridging the gap between the seen and the unseen. Take the wand, for instance, a symbol of authority and focus in the hands of a sorcerer. In many traditions, the wand was more than just a stick. It was a carefully crafted instrument, often made from specific types of wood or adorned with crystals and metals believed to hold magical properties. The Celtic Druids, for example, revered the oak tree as sacred, and wands made from its wood were thought to carry the strength and wisdom of the forest. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, wands were often inscribed with hieroglyphs or symbols, transforming them into tools of divine power. The act of wielding a wand was not just about directing energy, it was about aligning oneself with the natural and spiritual forces that the wand represented. Equally significant were the cauldrons and chalices used in rituals. These vessels were often associated with transformation and renewal, their rounded shapes symbolizing the womb of creation. The Celtic goddess Ceridwen, for example, was said to possess a cauldron of inspiration and wisdom from which the bard Taliesin gained his poetic gifts. In alchemy, the cauldron played a central role in the quest for the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance believed to grant immortality and the ability to transmute base metals into gold. The alchemists' tools, crucibles, alembics, and retorts were not just scientific instruments but sacred objects, each step of the process imbued with spiritual meaning. Incantations and sigils, too, were essential to the sorcerer's craft. Words, spoken or written, were seen as powerful forces in their own right, capable of shaping reality. In ancient Mesopotamia, incantations were often recited in the presence of specific deities, their names invoked to lend authority to the spell. Sigils, on the other hand, were intricate symbols designed to encapsulate magical intent. In medieval Europe, sorcerers would create sigils by combining letters or numbers from a specific phrase or name, distilling their desires into a single, potent image. These symbols were then activated through ritual, their energy released into the world. The rituals themselves were often elaborate, combining physical actions with spoken words and symbolic gestures. The Druids' use of mistletoe, for example, was part of a sacred ceremony performed during the winter solstice. Mistletoe, believed to hold the life force of the oak tree, was cut with a golden sickle and caught in a white cloth before it touched the ground. This act was thought to preserve its magical properties, ensuring its power could be harnessed for healing and protection. Such rituals were not just about the end result. They were about the process, the deliberate, mindful engagement with the forces of nature and spirit. These tools and rituals were not just practical necessities. They were expressions of a deeper worldview, one that saw magic as an integral part of existence. They remind us that the sorcerer's craft was not just about wielding power, but about understanding and respecting the interconnectedness of all things. And as we turn our attention to the role of prophecy in sorcery, we see how this connection to the unseen world extended beyond the physical tools and rituals, shaping the very way sorcerers perceived and interacted with the future. Prophecy, after all, was not just about predicting events, it was about understanding the threads of destiny and the forces that weave them together. Prophecy has always been one of the most captivating aspects of sorcery, a thread that weaves through countless myths and legends. For many legendary sorcerers, the ability to foresee the future wasn't just a skill. It was a burden, a gift that came with immense responsibility and often devastating consequences. These seers stood at the crossroads of time, their visions offering glimpses of what was to come, yet their prophecies were rarely straightforward. They were riddles wrapped in mystery, their meanings hidden in shadows waiting to be unraveled. And while their insights could guide heroes and shape the fate of kingdoms, they also carried a weight that few could bear. Consider the Greek oracle Pythia, the priestess of Apollo at Delphi. Seated on a tripod above a fissure in the earth, she would inhale the vapors rising from the ground and enter a trance-like state, her words believed to be the voice of the god himself. Kings, warriors, and seekers from across the ancient world would journey to Delphi, desperate for her guidance. Yet her prophecies were often cryptic, open to interpretation. When Croesus, the wealthy king of Lydia, asked if he should wage war against Persia, Pythia famously replied that if he did, he would destroy a great empire. Emboldened, Croesus attacked only to realize too late that the empire destroyed would be his own. This duality of prophecy, its power to inspire and its potential to mislead, is a recurring theme in the tales of sorcerers as seers. In Norse mythology, the Norns, three sisters who dwelled at the base of the world tree Yggdrasil, held the threads of fate in their hands. These weavers of destiny were not just passive observers, they actively shaped the lives of gods and mortals alike. Their prophecies were not mere predictions but declarations of what must be, binding even the gods to their decrees. Odin himself, the All-Father, was not immune to their power. Despite his vast knowledge and cunning, he could not escape the Norns' foretelling of Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. This tension between free will and destiny is a central theme in their stories, raising profound questions about the nature of fate. Can even the mightiest beings change their destiny, or are they merely players in a story already written? What makes these prophecies so compelling is their ambiguity. They are not clear roadmaps but riddles that demand interpretation, leaving room for human agency and error. This tension between what is foretold and what is chosen is at the heart of many myths. Take, for example, the story of Oedipus, whose parents tried to avoid a prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother. In their attempt to outwit fate, they set the very events in motion that would fulfill it. These tales remind us that prophecy is not just about predicting the future. It's about the choices we make in response to those predictions and the unintended consequences that follow. Yet, for all their wisdom, sorcerers and seers were not immune to the darker side of prophecy. The burden of knowing the future often came at a cost, isolating them from those they sought to guide. Cassandra of Troy, gifted with the power of prophecy by Apollo but cursed to never be believed, is a haunting example of this duality. Her warnings about the Trojan horse and the fall of Troy were ignored, leading to her city's destruction. Her story is a poignant reminder that foresight without the power to act can be a form of torment. Similarly, in Celtic lore, the prophetess Fedelm foresaw the bloody fate of Queen Medea's army, yet her warnings were dismissed as ill omens. These figures, cursed to see what others could not, often carried the weight of their knowledge alone, their voices echoing in the void of disbelief. As we reflect on the role of prophecy in the lives of sorcerers, we see how it shaped not only their own destinies but the fates of entire civilizations. Their visions were both a gift and a curse, a source of power and a reminder of the limits of human understanding. And as we turn to explore the darker consequences of their craft, how the pursuit of forbidden knowledge could lead to ruin, we'll see how this theme of prophecy continues to resonate, offering timeless lessons about the nature of power, fate, and the choices that define us. The gift of prophecy, though revered, often carried a heavy price, a truth that resonates deeply in the myths of sorcerers and seers. For those who could peer into the future, knowledge wasn't just a tool, it was a burden, a weight that could crush even the strongest of spirits. Cassandra of Troy, blessed with the ability to foresee disaster but cursed to never be believed, stands as one of the most poignant examples of this tragic paradox. Her visions of the Trojan horse and the fall of her city were dismissed as madness, leaving her to watch helplessly as her warnings went unheeded. Cassandra's story is a stark reminder that foresight without the power to act can be a torment as deep as any curse. Equally tragic is the tale of Oedipus, whose life was shaped by a prophecy he could not escape. Warned that he would kill his father and marry his mother, Oedipus fled his home to avoid this grim fate, only to unknowingly fulfill it. His parents, too, had tried to outwit destiny by abandoning him as a child, but their efforts only set the wheels of tragedy in motion. Oedipus's story is a chilling exploration of the limits of free will, a reminder that even the most determined efforts to avoid fate can lead us straight into its grasp. These myths force us to confront a difficult question. Is it better to know the future even if we cannot change it, or to live in blissful ignorance? What makes these stories so compelling is their exploration of the human condition. Prophecy in these tales isn't just about predicting the future, it's about the emotional toll of knowing what lies ahead. For figures like Cassandra and Oedipus, the burden of foresight is compounded by their inability to alter the course of events. They are trapped in a cruel paradox, their knowledge both a gift and a curse. This tension between knowing and acting, between destiny and free will, is a theme that runs through countless myths, offering timeless insights into the nature of power and the human struggle to control it. Yet, the dangers of prophecy extend beyond the individual. Entire civilizations have risen and fallen on the strength of a single vision. In Celtic lore, the prophetess Fedelm foresaw the destruction of Queen Medea's army, yet her warnings were dismissed as ill omens. The result was a devastating defeat, a reminder that ignoring the wisdom of seers can have catastrophic consequences. These stories highlight the complex relationship between prophecy and power, showing how the ability to see the future can be both a source of guidance and a catalyst for disaster. As we reflect on the curse of prophecy, we begin to see how it ties into a broader theme in the myths of sorcerers, the pursuit of knowledge and its consequences. Whether it's the tragic fate of Cassandra or the doomed efforts of Oedipus, these stories remind us that knowledge, while powerful, is not without its risks. And as we turn to the next chapter of our exploration, delving into the concept of immortality and its role in sorcery, we'll see how this theme continues to shape the myths of those who sought to transcend the limits of mortality. For in the quest for eternal life, as in the burden of prophecy, the line between power and peril is often perilously thin. The pursuit of immortality is a thread that runs through the heart of countless myths and legends, a quest that has captivated sorcerers and mortals alike for millennia. From the alchemists laboring in their dimly lit workshops to the Taoist sages meditating atop mist-shrouded mountains, the desire to transcend death has driven some of the most fascinating figures in magical lore. But what is it about eternal life that has inspired such devotion, and at what cost? The stories of these seekers reveal not only the allure of immortality, but also its profound moral and philosophical dilemmas. In the West, the alchemists stand as some of the most iconic figures in the search for eternal life. For centuries, these enigmatic practitioners toiled over their crucibles and alembics, seeking the philosopher's stone, a legendary substance said to grant not only the power to transmute base metals into gold, but also the elixir of life itself. Figures like Nicolas Flamel, the 14th century French scribe turned alchemical legend, became symbols of this eternal quest. Though Flamel's historical reality is debated, his story endures as a testament to humanity's longing to conquer death. The philosopher's stone, with its dual promise of wealth and immortality, embodies the duality of the sorcerer's craft, the ability to transform not only the material world but also the self. Yet the alchemists were not alone in their pursuit. In Chinese Taoist tradition, the concept of immortality took on a spiritual dimension. The Xian, or immortals, were beings who had achieved eternal life through a combination of meditation, herbal elixirs, and the cultivation of Kai, the life force that flows through all things. These figures, often depicted as serene sages dwelling in remote mountains or floating on clouds, represented an ideal of harmony with the natural world. Their immortality was not just about living forever. It was about transcending the physical realm to become one with the cosmos. This spiritual approach to eternal life offers a stark contrast to the alchemists' more materialistic goals, highlighting the diverse ways in which sorcerers and sages have sought to overcome mortality. The myths surrounding immortality are not always so serene, however. Take the legend of the Wandering Jew, a figure cursed to roam the earth until the end of time. According to Christian folklore, this man mocked Jesus on his way to the crucifixion and was condemned to walk the earth, unable to die until Christ's return. His story is a haunting reminder of the darker side of immortality, a life without end but also without purpose or peace. Similarly, the myth of the Fountain of Youth, a magical spring said to restore youth to those who drink from it, has inspired countless explorers and adventurers. Yet, even this tale carries a warning. Ponce de Leon's fabled search for the fountain ended in failure and death, a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsession and the limits of human ambition. What these stories reveal is that immortality is not just a physical state, it's a moral and philosophical challenge. To live forever is to confront questions about the meaning of life, the nature of time, and the cost of defying death. For sorcerers, who often stood at the intersection of the natural and supernatural, these questions were particularly acute. Their pursuit of immortality was not just about personal gain, but about understanding the very fabric of existence. And yet, as many myths suggest, the price of eternal life can be steep, often demanding sacrifices that test the boundaries of morality and humanity. This connection between immortality and the underworld is another recurring theme in magical lore. Many sorcerers were believed to have the power to traverse the boundary between life and death, communing with spirits or even venturing into the realms of the dead. In Greek mythology, Orpheus descended into the underworld to retrieve his beloved Eurydice, using his music to charm Hades himself. While Orpheus failed in his quest, his story underscores the sorcerer's role as a mediator between worlds. Similarly, in Norse mythology, Odin's mastery of runes and magic allowed him to summon the dead for wisdom, blurring the line between the living and the departed. These tales of immortality and the underworld remind us that sorcery is not just about power, it's about understanding the mysteries of life and death. The sorcerer's quest for eternal life is ultimately a reflection of humanity's deepest fears and desires, a journey that challenges us to confront what it means to live, to die, and to transcend. As we delve deeper into the myths of these figures, we'll see how their stories continue to resonate, offering timeless insights into the nature of existence and the limits of human ambition. Sorcerers have long been depicted as figures who could traverse the boundaries between life and death, wielding power not just over the living but also over the realm of the dead. This mastery of the underworld was more than a display of supernatural ability. It was a profound exploration of life's greatest mystery, what lies beyond the veil of death. From the necromancers of ancient Egypt to the enigmatic Greek sorceress Hecate, these figures embody humanity's enduring fascination with the afterlife and the forces that govern it. In ancient Egypt, necromancers were revered as intermediaries between the living and the dead. The Egyptians believed that death was not an end but a transition, a journey to the afterlife where the soul would be judged by Osiris, the god of the underworld. Necromancers, often priests skilled in the rituals of the dead, played a crucial role in ensuring a safe passage for the departed. Through spells, incantations, and elaborate funerary rites, they sought to protect the soul from the dangers of the afterlife and guide it to the field of reeds, the Egyptian paradise. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and prayers, was one of their most powerful tools, offering the deceased the knowledge and protection needed to navigate the perilous journey. For the Egyptians, this mastery of the underworld wasn't just about power. It was about maintaining cosmic order, ensuring that the cycle of life, death, and rebirth continued uninterrupted. In Greek mythology, the sorceress Hecate stands as a powerful figure of the underworld, a goddess of magic, witchcraft, and crossroads. Often depicted with torches in hand, Hecate was believed to guide souls through the darkness of the afterlife, her presence both comforting and fearsome. She was also associated with liminal spaces, thresholds, doorways, and crossroads, symbolizing her role as a mediator between worlds. Hecate's connection to the underworld gave her unparalleled insight into the mysteries of life and death, making her a figure of immense respect and terror. Her worship often involved offerings at crossroads, a nod to her ability to traverse the boundaries between realms. Hecate's power over the dead wasn't just about control, it was about understanding the delicate balance between life and death, light and shadow. These sorcerers and goddesses weren't just masters of the dead, they were also symbols of humanity's quest to understand the unknown. Their ability to communicate with spirits, summon the departed, or navigate the afterlife reflected a deeper yearning to make sense of mortality. In many ways, their power over the underworld was a metaphor for the human condition, a reminder that life and death are two sides of the same coin, intertwined and inseparable. The rituals and spells they used weren't just acts of magic, they were acts of meaning, attempts to impose order on the chaos of existence. This connection to the underworld also shaped the cultural and historical impact of sorcerers. In ancient societies, their role as mediators between the living and the dead gave them a unique position of influence. They were often consulted not just for personal guidance but for matters of state, their insights into the afterlife seen as reflections of divine will. In Egypt, the pharaohs relied on necromancers to ensure their safe passage to the afterlife, their tombs filled with spells and offerings meant to secure their place among the gods. In Greece, Hecate's followers sought her favor to protect their homes and loved ones, her power over the dead seen as a safeguard against misfortune. These practices weren't just about superstition, they were about belief, about the ways in which societies sought to navigate the uncertainties of life through the wisdom of those who understood death. As we reflect on the role of sorcerers in shaping history and culture, we see how their mastery of the underworld was more than just a display of power, it was a reflection of the human spirit. Their ability to confront the mysteries of death and the afterlife speaks to a universal truth, that to understand life we must also grapple with its end. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this journey, exploring how sorcerers influence the course of history, we'll see how their wisdom and insight continue to echo through the ages, shaping the world in ways both seen and unseen. The stories of legendary sorcerers have captivated humanity for centuries, but where do myth and history truly intersect? Were these figures real people, their deeds exaggerated over time, or pure inventions of the human imagination? The answer, as with many things, lies somewhere in between. Take Simon Magus, for instance, a first-century magician and religious figure whose exploits are documented in both historical records and early Christian texts. Known as the father of heresies, Simon was a real person who claimed divine powers, even performing feats that some considered miraculous. His reputation grew so vast that he became a central figure in Christian lore, often portrayed as a rival to the apostles. Stories of his magical duels with Saint Peter, including his infamous attempt to fly, turned him into a symbol of arrogance and heresy. Yet, beneath the layers of legend, Simon was a man of his time, a charismatic leader who blurred the lines between spiritual teacher and sorcerer. Then there's Merlin, the archetype of the wise magician. While Merlin is most famous as the guiding force behind King Arthur, his origins are far more complex. Some historians suggest he may have been inspired by Myrddin Wyllt, a Welsh poet and prophet who lived centuries before the Arthurian legends took shape. Myrddin was said to have gone mad after a battle, retreating into the wilderness and speaking prophetic riddles. Over time, his story merged with tales of other seers and magicians, transforming him into the Merlin we know today. This evolution from a historical figure to a legendary one is a testament to the power of storytelling, how a single individual can become a symbol of wisdom, magic, and mystery. What's fascinating about figures like Simon Magus and Merlin is how their stories reflect the cultural and spiritual needs of their time. In an age when the boundaries between the natural and supernatural were fluid, sorcerers served as bridges between the known and the unknown. They embodied humanity's desire to understand the forces that shape our world, whether through magic, prophecy, or divine insight. As their tales were passed down through generations, they grew larger than life, their deeds magnified to inspire awe and wonder. This blending of fact and fiction isn't unique to ancient sorcerers. Throughout history, real individuals have been transformed into legends, their lives reshaped by the stories we tell about them. These figures become more than people, they become symbols, embodying the hopes, fears, and values of the cultures that created them. And as we move into the modern era, we see how these legendary sorcerers continue to influence our world, shaping everything from literature and art to the way we think about power, knowledge, and the unknown. The legacy of these sorcerers is alive and well in today's culture. From the wizards of Harry Potter to the mystical mentors of the Lord of the Rings, the archetypes of Merlin and Simon Magus persist, reminding us of the enduring appeal of magic and mystery. These modern interpretations are more than just entertainment. They are a continuation of a timeless tradition, a way for us to explore the boundaries of what is possible. Whether as cautionary tales or sources of inspiration, the sorcerers of old continue to cast their spell, proving that the line between myth and history is as enchanting as it is elusive. The archetype of the sorcerer, with their enigmatic wisdom and command over the mystical, has transcended the boundaries of ancient myths to become a cornerstone of modern storytelling. From the pages of fantasy novels to the silver screen, these figures continue to captivate audiences, their timeless appeal reshaping how we view magic, power, and the human condition. Characters like Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, Dumbledore from Harry Potter, and Doctor Strange from the Marvel Cinematic Universe are more than just wizards. They are modern incarnations of the sorcerers of old, each embodying the enduring allure of magic and wisdom in unique ways. Gandalf, the grey-bearded wanderer of Middle-earth, is perhaps one of the most iconic modern sorcerers, created by J.R.R. Tolkien. Gandalf is a figure of immense power, yet his true strength lies in his wisdom and humility. Unlike the sorcerers of myth who often sought to dominate or control, Gandalf serves as a guide, a mentor who empowers others to find their own strength. His role in the Fellowship of the Ring is not to solve every problem but to inspire courage and resilience in those around him. This shift from a wielder of raw power to a facilitator of growth reflects a modern reinterpretation of the sorcerer's role, one that emphasizes the importance of inner strength over external magic. In the halls of Hogwarts, Albus Dumbledore stands as another towering figure of modern sorcery. As the headmaster of the wizarding school, Dumbledore embodies the archetype of the wise mentor, a role deeply rooted in the traditions of Merlin and other legendary magicians. Yet, Dumbledore is also a deeply flawed character, his past mistakes and personal regrets adding layers of complexity to his persona. His relationship with Harry Potter is not just one of teacher and student but of a surrogate father figure, offering guidance while allowing Harry to make his own choices. This blend of wisdom and vulnerability makes Dumbledore a relatable figure, reminding us that even the most powerful sorcerers are shaped by their humanity. Then there's Doctor Strange, a character who bridges the gap between ancient mysticism and modern technology. Once a brilliant but arrogant surgeon, Stephen Strange's journey into the mystical arts transforms him into a protector of the multiverse. His story is one of redemption and self-discovery, a narrative that resonates deeply in today's world. Doctor Strange's magic is not just about casting spells, it's about understanding the interconnectedness of all things, a theme that echoes the ancient sorcerer's connection to the natural and spiritual worlds. His arc reflects a modern fascination with the balance between science and spirituality, a reminder that magic, in its many forms, continues to evolve with the times. What makes these modern sorcerers so compelling is how they reflect the timeless themes of their ancient counterparts while adapting to contemporary values. They are not just figures of power but symbols of transformation, their stories exploring the psychological and emotional dimensions of magic. The appeal of characters like Gandalf, Dumbledore, and Doctor Strange lies in their ability to embody both the extraordinary and the relatable, offering audiences a glimpse into the possibilities of what lies beyond the mundane. This psychological appeal is key to understanding why sorcerers remain so central to our cultural imagination. They represent the human desire to transcend limitations, to seek knowledge and mastery over the unknown. At the same time, they remind us of the importance of humility, empathy, and the connections that bind us to one another. Whether guiding a young hero through their journey or grappling with their own inner demons, these modern sorcerers continue to inspire, challenge, and enchant, proving that the magic of their archetype is as powerful today as it was in the myths of old. As we reflect on the legacy of these figures, it becomes clear that their stories are not just about magic, they are about the enduring human quest for meaning, growth, and connection. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this exploration, we'll delve into how the archetype of the sorcerer continues to shape our understanding of power, knowledge, and the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. The enduring fascination with sorcerers isn't just about their magical abilities, it's about what they represent. These figures, whether cloaked in the shadows of ancient myths or brought to life in modern stories, tap into something profound within us. They embody the human longing for power, the thirst for knowledge, and the allure of the unknown. But what is it about sorcerers that keeps us spellbound generation after generation? The answer lies not just in their magic, but in the psychological truths they reveal about who we are and what we desire. At their core, sorcerers are symbols of transformation. They possess the ability to change the world around them, to bend reality to their will. This power resonates deeply with our own aspirations, our desire to overcome limitations, to shape our destinies, and to leave a mark on the world. Think of Merlin guiding Arthur to greatness, or Gandalf inspiring the Fellowship to rise above their fears. These figures remind us that transformation is possible, that even the ordinary can achieve the extraordinary. Their stories speak to a universal truth, the belief that we, too, can wield power over our lives, even if only metaphorically. But sorcerers are more than just symbols of power, they are also keepers of secrets. In a world where so much remains unexplained, they represent the tantalizing promise of hidden knowledge. Whether it's the alchemist's quest for the philosopher's stone or the shaman's communion with the spirit world, sorcerers embody humanity's insatiable curiosity. They remind us that there is always more to learn, more to discover, and more to understand. This thirst for knowledge is deeply rooted in our psyche, a driving force that has propelled human progress for millennia. Sorcerers, with their enigmatic wisdom, tap into this primal urge, offering us a glimpse of what lies beyond the veil of the known. From a psychological perspective, sorcerers also serve as mirrors, reflecting our deepest fears and desires. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, spoke of archetypes, universal symbols that reside in the collective unconscious. The sorcerer is one such archetype, representing the shadow side of human nature. They embody the duality of power, its potential for creation and destruction, for good and evil. This duality makes them compelling figures as they force us to confront our own ambivalence about power and control. Are we drawn to sorcerers because of their ability to heal and protect, or because of their capacity to dominate and destroy? The answer perhaps lies in both. This psychological appeal extends across cultures, with sorcerers taking on different forms to reflect the values and fears of their societies. In African folklore, the Sangoma is a healer and spiritual guide, using herbs and rituals to restore balance and harmony. In Norse mythology, Odin is a god of wisdom and war, his mastery of runes and magic reflecting the Viking respect for knowledge and strength. Even in modern pop culture, characters like Doctor Strange and Dumbledore continue to captivate audiences, their stories reimagining the archetype for new generations. These diverse portrayals highlight the universality of the sorcerer's appeal, showing how they adapt to resonate with the hopes and anxieties of their time. What's particularly fascinating is how sorcerers often occupy a liminal space, a place between worlds. They exist at the boundaries of the natural and supernatural, the known and the unknown. This in-betweenness makes them both fascinating and unsettling, as they challenge us to question the boundaries we take for granted. They remind us that the world is far more complex and mysterious than it appears, and that there is always more to explore. In a sense, sorcerers are gatekeepers, inviting us to step beyond the familiar and embrace the possibilities of the extraordinary. Ultimately, the enduring appeal of sorcerers lies in their ability to embody the human experience in all its complexity. They are symbols of power and vulnerability, of wisdom and folly, of creation and destruction. They remind us that magic, whether literal or metaphorical, is not just about changing the world, it's about understanding ourselves. And as we continue to tell their stories, we keep alive the timeless truths they represent, the power of transformation, the allure of mystery, and the endless possibilities of the human spirit. Sorcery as a concept transcends borders and cultures, weaving its way into the fabric of human storytelling across the globe. While the names and forms may change, the essence of the sorcerer remains strikingly universal, a figure who wields extraordinary power, often standing at the intersection of the mundane and the mystical. From the trickster Anansi of African folklore to the enigmatic Onmyoji of Japan, these figures reveal not only the diversity of human imagination, but also the shared threads that connect us all. In West African mythology, Anansi the spider is a masterful blend of sorcerer and trickster. Known for his cunning and wit, Anansi uses his intelligence and magical abilities to outsmart gods, animals, and even death itself. His stories, passed down through generations, serve as both entertainment and moral lessons, teaching the value of resourcefulness and the dangers of arrogance. Anansi's magic isn't about raw power, it's about cleverness and adaptability, reflecting a cultural emphasis on wisdom and perseverance. He is both a hero and a cautionary figure, embodying the complexities of human nature. Traveling eastward to Japan, we encounter the Onmyoji, a class of sorcerers deeply rooted in the ancient traditions of Shinto and Taoism. These practitioners of Onmyodo, or the way of yin and yang, were masters of divination, astrology, and spiritual balance. Unlike the solitary sorcerers of Western lore, the Onmyoji were often employed by the imperial court, using their skills to protect the realm from malevolent spirits and ensure harmony between the natural and supernatural world. Their magic was precise and disciplined, reflecting the Japanese values of order and ritual. The Onmyoji's role as both protector and advisor highlights their dual function as sorcerers and teachers, guiding society through the mysteries of the unseen. In the Americas, the figure of the shaman holds a similar place of reverence and power. Among the indigenous peoples of North and South America, shamans are spiritual healers and intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds. Their magic is deeply tied to nature, using herbs, drums, and rituals to heal the sick, predict the future, and communicate with ancestors. The shaman's role is one of service, their powers used not for personal gain but for the well-being of the community. This emphasis on collective harmony and respect for the natural world reflects the values of many indigenous cultures where balance and reciprocity are central to life. What's fascinating is how these figures, despite their cultural differences, share common threads. Whether it's Anansi's cleverness, the Onmyoji's discipline, or the shaman's connection to nature, each sorcerer embodies the values and fears of their society. They are mirrors reflecting what their cultures hold sacred, whether it's wisdom, order, or harmony. Yet they also serve as bridges connecting the human and the divine, the known and the unknown. This duality is perhaps most evident in the role of the sorcerer as a teacher or mentor. Across cultures, these figures often take on the responsibility of guiding others, sharing their knowledge to help individuals and communities navigate the challenges of life. The Onmyoji, for example, not only protected the court but also trained apprentices, passing down their esoteric knowledge. Similarly, the shaman's role as a healer and spiritual guide is often intertwined with teaching, ensuring that the wisdom of the ancestors is preserved for future generations. Even Anansi, with his trickster ways, imparts lessons through his stories, teaching listeners to think critically and creatively. This mentorship aspect reveals another layer of the sorcerer's significance. They are not just wielders of power but also custodians of wisdom. Their role as teachers underscores the idea that magic, at its core, is about understanding, about seeing the world in a way that others cannot. Whether it's through divination, storytelling, or healing, sorcerers offer a lens through which we can glimpse the deeper truths of existence. As we explore the global tapestry of sorcerers, it becomes clear that their stories are more than just tales of magic. They are reflections of the human experience. They remind us that, no matter where we come from, we share a common desire to make sense of the world and our place within it. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this journey, we'll see how these themes of teaching and transformation continue to shape the myths of sorcerers, offering timeless insights into the nature of power, wisdom, and the mysteries that bind us all. The role of a sorcerer often extends far beyond wielding magic or casting spells. They are frequently cast as mentors, guiding heroes on their path to greatness. These figures, with their vast knowledge and otherworldly insight, serve as beacons of wisdom, shaping the destinies of those they mentor. From Merlin's patient guidance of King Arthur to Yoda's cryptic lessons for Luke Skywalker, the sorcerer as mentor archetype is a cornerstone of storytelling, offering lessons that resonate across cultures and generations. What makes a great mentor? At their core, these sorcerers possess a unique blend of wisdom, patience, and the ability to see potential where others might see only weakness. Take Merlin, for example. His relationship with Arthur is not just about teaching him how to wield a sword or lead a kingdom. It's about instilling values like humility, justice, and the importance of listening to one's heart. Merlin's lessons are often subtle, delivered through riddles and experiences rather than direct instruction. This approach allows Arthur to grow into his role not as a puppet of destiny, but as a leader who understands the weight of his choices. The mentor's role, then, is not to dictate but to illuminate, to help the hero discover their own strength and purpose. Yoda, the diminutive yet immensely powerful Jedi Master from Star Wars, embodies a similar philosophy. His training of Luke Skywalker is less about teaching him to fight with a lightsaber and more about helping him confront his fears and doubts. Yoda's famous line, "Do or do not. There is no try," encapsulates the essence of mentorship. It's about pushing the hero to transcend their limitations, to believe in themselves even when the odds seem insurmountable. Yoda's methods may seem unorthodox, forcing Luke to lift an X-wing with his mind or sending him into a dark cave to face his inner demons, but they are designed to build not just skill but character. A great mentor, as Yoda demonstrates, knows that true growth comes from within. Yet not all mentors lead their charges toward the light. Some, like the enigmatic Saruman from The Lord of the Rings or the manipulative Palpatine from Star Wars, serve as cautionary tales of mentorship gone awry. These darker figures use their knowledge and influence not to uplift but to corrupt, twisting the hero's journey into a path of destruction. Saruman, once a wise and respected wizard, succumbs to his own lust for power, becoming a shadow of his former self. His guidance, if it can even be called that, leads others astray, revealing the dangers of misplaced trust and the seductive allure of ambition. Similarly, Palpatine's mentorship of Anakin Skywalker is a masterclass in manipulation, preying on Anakin's fears and desires to turn him into Darth Vader. These darker mentors remind us that wisdom in the wrong hands can be a weapon as devastating as any spell. The impact of these mentors, whether benevolent or malevolent, is profound. They shape not only the hero's abilities but their very identity. A mentor's guidance can determine whether a hero rises to their potential or falls into darkness, making their role one of the most pivotal in any story. This dynamic underscores a universal truth: the journey to greatness is rarely a solitary one. It is shaped by those who believe in us, challenge us, and at times test us. As we reflect on the role of the sorcerer as mentor, we see how these figures embody the dual nature of power. They can inspire and uplift, but they can also mislead and destroy. Their stories remind us that the path to greatness is fraught with choices, and the guidance we receive and the guidance we give can change the course of history. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this exploration, we'll delve into how sorcerers, in their many forms, continue to shape not just the heroes of myth but the very fabric of the stories we tell. While the image of the wise and benevolent mentor is a cornerstone of many tales, not all sorcerers guide their charges toward the light. Some wield their knowledge like a double-edged sword, using it to manipulate, deceive, and even destroy. These darker mentors challenge the hero's moral compass, forcing them to confront not just external enemies but the shadows within themselves. Figures like Loki of Norse mythology and Calypso from Greek legend embody this archetype, their influence serving as a test of the hero's resolve and a reminder of the seductive dangers of unchecked ambition. Loki, the trickster god of Norse mythology, is a master of manipulation, his schemes often setting the stage for chaos and conflict. Though not a traditional sorcerer, his cunning and shape-shifting abilities align him closely with the archetype of the dark mentor. Loki's relationship with the gods is complex. He is both a trusted ally and a constant source of trouble. His actions often force others to confront uncomfortable truths, challenging their assumptions and testing their loyalty. For example, his role in the death of Baldur, the beloved god of light, is not just an act of malice but a catalyst for introspection. The god's inability to see through Loki's deception reveals their own vulnerabilities, their blind spots and weaknesses. In this way, Loki serves as a mirror, reflecting the flaws and fears of those around him. His influence is not just destructive, it is revelatory, forcing heroes and gods alike to reckon with their own moral failings. Calypso, the enchantress from Homer's Odyssey, offers a different kind of challenge. When Odysseus washes ashore on her island, she offers him immortality and eternal bliss, a tempting escape from the hardships of his journey. Yet her offer comes with a price. He must abandon his quest to return home to Ithaca and his family. Calypso's magic is not just about control, it's about temptation, the allure of an easier path. Her role as a dark mentor lies in her ability to exploit Odysseus's deepest desires, forcing him to confront what he truly values. In resisting her, Odysseus reaffirms his commitment to his journey and his identity as a hero. Calypso's island becomes a crucible, a place where Odysseus's resolve is tested and his character forged. What makes these figures so compelling is their ability to blur the lines between friend and foe, guide and adversary. They challenge the hero not just physically but morally, forcing them to question their own motives and choices. Loki's schemes and Calypso's temptations are not merely obstacles to overcome, they are moral tests designed to reveal the hero's true nature. In this way, the Dark Mentor serves a crucial narrative function, pushing the hero to grow, even if that growth comes at a cost. These stories also highlight the dual nature of knowledge and power. A mentor's wisdom, when misused, can become a tool of manipulation, a weapon that exploits rather than empowers. Loki and Calypso embody this danger, their actions serving as cautionary tales about the corrupting influence of ambition and desire. Their stories remind us that the path to greatness is not just about acquiring power, but about how we choose to wield it. The hero's journey, then, is as much about resisting temptation as it is about overcoming external challenges. As we reflect on the role of the Dark Mentor, we see how these figures shape not just the hero's journey, but the moral lessons at the heart of the story. They remind us that wisdom in the wrong hands can be a force of destruction, and that the choices we make define who we are. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter of this exploration, we'll delve into how sorcerers, in their many forms, continue to influence the moral fabric of the stories we tell, offering timeless insights into the nature of power, choice, and the human condition. Magic, at its core, is a force of transformation, a tool that can reshape the world in profound ways. But with such power comes a question that has echoed through countless myths and legends. What happens when that power is misused? The stories of sorcerers are not just about dazzling spells or impossible feats. They are cautionary tales, rich with moral lessons about the weight of responsibility and the dangers of unchecked ambition. From the tragic tale of Faust to the whimsical yet sobering story of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, these narratives remind us that magic, like any form of power, is a double-edged sword. Take Faust, for instance, a figure whose name has become synonymous with the perils of ambition. In the original German legend, Faust is a scholar who, dissatisfied with the limits of human knowledge, strikes a deal with the devil. In exchange for boundless power and worldly pleasures, he trades his immortal soul. At first, Faust revels in his newfound abilities, indulging in every desire. But as the story unfolds, the cost of his choices becomes horrifyingly clear. His tale is a stark warning about the dangers of overreaching, of seeking knowledge and power at any cost. Faust's downfall isn't just a personal tragedy. It's a moral lesson about the importance of humility and the consequences of valuing ambition over humanity. Then there's The Sorcerer's Apprentice, a story immortalized in folklore and popularized by Disney's Fantasia. Here, a young apprentice, eager to prove himself, attempts to use his master's magic without fully understanding its intricacies. With a wave of his wand, he enchants a broomstick to fetch water, only to lose control of the spell. The broom multiplies, flooding the room and threatening disaster. The apprentice's mistake is more than just a comedic blunder. It's a metaphor for the dangers of wielding power without wisdom. The story underscores the importance of patience, discipline, and respect for the forces one seeks to command. It's a lesson that resonates far beyond the realm of magic, reminding us that shortcuts and hubris often lead to chaos. What these stories share is a recurring theme. The misuse of magic or any form of power carries consequences. Whether it's Faust's tragic bargain or the apprentice's spiraling spell, the message is clear. Power, when wielded irresponsibly, can destroy as easily as it creates. Sorcerers, as symbols of this power, often serve as mirrors, reflecting humanity's own struggles with ambition, greed, and the desire for control. Their stories force us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the choices we make. But the moral lessons don't stop at individual failings. They also explore broader ethical questions about the nature of power itself, who gets to wield it. What limits should be placed on it, and how do we ensure it's used for good? These questions are as relevant today as they were in the time of Faust or the Sorcerer's Apprentice. In a world where technological advancements give us unprecedented control over our environment, the lessons of these myths feel more urgent than ever. They challenge us to consider not just what we can do, but what we should do. The downfall of these sorcerers, whether it's Faust's eternal damnation or the apprentice's humiliating failure, serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of power. It's a theme that recurs in countless myths, from the Greek tale of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, to the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, where humanity's pride led to its downfall. These narratives remind us that power, no matter how great, is never absolute. It comes with limits, with responsibilities, and with the ever-present risk of unintended consequences. As we delve deeper into the myths of sorcerers, we see how their stories are not just about magic, but about the human condition. They challenge us to reflect on our own relationship with power, how we seek it, how we wield it, and how we navigate the moral dilemmas it presents. And as we turn to the next chapter of this exploration, we'll examine how these themes of downfall and redemption continue to shape the myths of sorcerers, offering timeless insights into the nature of ambition, responsibility, and the choices that define us. The stories of sorcerers often reach their most dramatic climax not in their triumphs, but in their downfalls. These figures, who once stood at the pinnacle of power, frequently meet tragic ends not at the hands of enemies, but through their own hubris or miscalculations. Their tales serve as timeless reminders of the dangers of overreaching, of the fine line between ambition and arrogance. Take Odin, the All-Father of Norse mythology, a figure of immense wisdom and power. His relentless pursuit of knowledge led him to hang himself from the world tree, Yggdrasil, for 9 days and nights, pierced by his own spear. This act of self-sacrifice granted him the wisdom of the runes, but it also underscored the cost of such power. Odin's story is one of duality. His wisdom came at the price of immense suffering, a reminder that even the mightiest are bound by the consequences of their choices. Then there's Prometheus, the Titan from Greek mythology, who defied the gods to bring fire and with it knowledge to humanity. His act of rebellion was driven by compassion, yet it came with a steep price. Zeus, furious at his defiance, punished Prometheus with eternal torment, chained to a rock where an eagle would feast on his liver each day, only for it to regenerate each night. Prometheus's story is a poignant exploration of the cost of enlightenment. His gift to humanity was transformative, but his punishment reveals the darker side of challenging the established order. It's a cautionary tale about the price of defiance, even when motivated by noble intentions. What ties these stories together is the theme of hubris, the overconfidence or pride that leads to a character's downfall. For sorcerers, who often possess knowledge and abilities far beyond those of ordinary mortals, this hubris can manifest in a desire to control forces they cannot fully understand. Odin's quest for wisdom and Prometheus's defiance of the gods are both acts of overreaching, moments where their ambition outstripped their caution. Their tragedies remind us that power, no matter how great, comes with limits. It's a lesson that resonates across cultures and eras, a universal truth about the dangers of unchecked ambition. But the legacy of these figures doesn't end with their downfall. In fact, their tragedies often amplify their impact, transforming them into enduring symbols of sacrifice, rebellion, and the human condition. Odin's self-sacrifice on Yggdrasil is not just a tale of suffering, it's a testament to the lengths one will go to for wisdom. His story has inspired countless interpretations, from ancient Norse poetry to modern retellings in literature and film. Similarly, Prometheus's defiance has become a powerful metaphor for the struggle against oppression, a symbol of the human spirit's resilience in the face of tyranny. His name itself has entered the lexicon, giving us the term Promethean, used to describe bold, innovative acts that challenge the status quo. These figures, though tragic, leave behind legacies that continue to shape our understanding of power, knowledge, and morality. Their stories challenge us to reflect on our own ambitions and the choices we make in pursuit of them. Do we, like Odin, seek knowledge at any cost, or do we, like Prometheus, risk everything to uplift others, knowing the price we may pay? Their downfalls are not just endings, they are beginnings, sparking conversations about the nature of power and the responsibilities that come with it. As we move forward, exploring how these themes continue to resonate in modern interpretations of sorcerers, we'll see how the lessons of hubris and tragedy remain as relevant today as they were in the myths of old. These stories, with their blend of grandeur and caution, remind us that the pursuit of greatness is never without risk, and that the true measure of a sorcerer lies not just in their power, but in how they wield it. The myths of sorcerers have traveled through centuries, weaving their way into the fabric of our collective imagination. These figures, whether they are wise mentors, tragic rebels, or enigmatic tricksters, have left an indelible mark on how we see the world. Their stories, born in the fires of ancient myths, continue to burn brightly in modern culture, shaping our understanding of power, knowledge, and what it means to be human. From the pages of fantasy novels to the screens of blockbuster films, sorcerers remain as relevant today as they were in the days of Merlin and Circe. But why do these figures endure? What is it about their tales that keeps us coming back generation after generation? One reason lies in their ability to embody timeless truths. Sorcerers often serve as mirrors, reflecting our deepest desires and fears. They remind us of the allure of power, the intoxicating idea that we can shape the world to our will. Yet they also warn us of its dangers, showing how ambition, when unchecked, can lead to ruin. Take characters like Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings or Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter. These modern incarnations of the sorcerer archetype are not just wielders of magic, they are symbols of wisdom and moral guidance. Their stories resonate because they speak to universal themes: the struggle between good and evil, the importance of humility, and the value of self-discovery. But the influence of sorcerers extends beyond storytelling. They also shape how we think about knowledge and its limits. In a world where technology and science are advancing at an unprecedented pace, the sorcerer's quest for forbidden wisdom feels eerily familiar. Are we, like Faust, willing to risk everything for the sake of progress? Or do we, like Odin, recognize that true wisdom often comes with a cost? These questions are as relevant today as they were in the myths of old, reminding us that the pursuit of knowledge is never without its risks. In modern media, sorcerers have taken on new forms, adapting to reflect contemporary concerns. Characters like Doctor Strange from the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Sabrina Spellman from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina grapple with issues of identity, responsibility, and the ethical use of power. Their stories explore the complexities of living in a world where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred. Through them, we see how the archetype of the sorcerer continues to evolve, offering fresh perspectives on age-old dilemmas. What's perhaps most striking is how these figures connect us to our past while helping us navigate the present. The myths of sorcerers are not just relics of a bygone era. They are living, breathing narratives that continue to inspire and challenge us. They remind us that power, whether magical or technological, comes with responsibility. They teach us that knowledge, while transformative, must be pursued with care. And they show us that the human condition, our hopes, fears, and dreams remains constant, no matter how much the world changes. As we reflect on the enduring legacy of these legendary figures, we're reminded that their stories are more than just tales of magic and mystery. They are lessons in how to live, how to grow, and how to confront the challenges of our own time. And as we close this chapter of our exploration, we turn our gaze to the future, wondering how the next generation of sorcerers will continue to shape our understanding of the world. What new myths will they inspire? What timeless truths will they reveal? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the magic of their stories will never fade. The stories of legendary sorcerers are more than just captivating tales of magic and mystery. They are vessels of timeless wisdom, offering lessons that resonate deeply in our modern world. These figures, from Merlin to Circe, Odin to Medea, embody universal truths about power, knowledge, and the human condition. Their myths, though ancient, speak to challenges we still face today, reminding us of the delicate balance required to navigate life's complexities. What can we learn from their journeys, and how might their stories guide us in an era defined by rapid change and boundless ambition? At the heart of many sorcerer myths lies a profound lesson about the balance of power. Sorcerers often wield immense abilities, but their stories reveal that true strength isn't just about controlling forces outside ourselves. It's about mastering the forces within. Take Merlin, for instance. His wisdom wasn't just a product of his magical prowess. It came from his ability to guide without dominating, to inspire without demanding obedience. In a world where power is often equated with control, Merlin's example reminds us that the greatest leaders are those who empower others, fostering growth rather than enforcing submission. This lesson feels particularly relevant today as we grapple with questions about leadership, authority, and the ethical use of influence. The pursuit of knowledge, another central theme in sorcerer myths, offers equally valuable insight. Figures like Odin and Faust remind us that knowledge, while transformative, is not without its costs. Odin's self-sacrifice on Yggdrasil and Faust's tragic bargain with the devil underscore the risks of seeking wisdom at any price. These stories challenge us to reflect on our own quests for understanding, whether in science, technology, or personal growth. Are we pursuing knowledge with humility and respect for its limits, or are we driven by an insatiable hunger that could lead us astray? In an age where information is more accessible than ever, these myths serve as cautionary tales, urging us to approach learning with both curiosity and caution. Humility, perhaps the most enduring lesson from sorcerer myths, is woven into the fabric of their stories. Even the most powerful sorcerers are shown to be fallible, their flaws and failures as instructive as their triumphs. Medea's descent into vengeance, for example, illustrates the destructive potential of unchecked emotion and pride. Her story is a stark reminder that power, when untempered by humility, can lead to ruin. Similarly, the sorcerer's apprentice's misadventure with the enchanted broomstick teaches us that overconfidence and haste often lead to chaos. These tales encourage us to embrace humility, not as a weakness but as a strength, a way to remain grounded and mindful in the face of our own abilities and ambitions. But how do these ancient lessons apply to our lives today? Consider the modern workplace, where the balance of power, the pursuit of knowledge, and the importance of humility are as relevant as ever. Leaders who inspire rather than dictate, who value collaboration over control, often create more resilient and innovative teams. Similarly, in our personal lives, the pursuit of knowledge can enrich us, but only if we approach it with a sense of responsibility and respect for its limits. And humility, whether in our relationships or our careers, fosters trust, connection, and growth. The wisdom of the sorcerers, far from being confined to myth, offers practical guidance for navigating the complexities of contemporary life. As we prepare to conclude this journey through the myths of legendary sorcerers, it's worth reflecting on the enduring relevance of their stories. These figures, with their extraordinary abilities and profound flaws, remind us that power and knowledge are gifts to be wielded with care. They challenge us to strive for greatness while remaining mindful of our humanity, to seek understanding without losing sight of our values. Their tales are more than just entertainment. They are mirrors reflecting the timeless truths that shape our lives. And as we step back into the world, perhaps we can carry a little of their wisdom with us, using it to light our way through the challenges and choices that lie ahead. As we reach the end of this journey through the myths and mysteries of legendary sorcerers, it's worth pausing to reflect on the threads that bind these stories together. From the ancient shamans who first bridged the gap between the natural and the supernatural, to the modern wizards who continue to captivate our imaginations, the archetype of the sorcerer has endured for millennia. These figures, whether revered as wise mentors or feared as wielders of forbidden power, share a common thread. They embody humanity's eternal quest for understanding, transformation, and connection. Their tales are more than just entertainment. They are mirrors, reflecting our deepest desires, fears, and questions about the world and our place within it. At their core, the stories of sorcerers explore the duality of power, its ability to create and destroy, to uplift and corrupt. Merlin's wisdom reminds us that true strength lies in humility and guidance, not domination. Circe's autonomy challenges us to consider the cost of independence in a world that often seeks to control. Odin's sacrifice for knowledge and Faust's tragic bargain with the devil force us to confront the price of ambition. These narratives are not just about magic. They are about the choices we make, the values we hold, and the responsibilities that come with wielding any form of power. The enduring appeal of these figures lies in their complexity. They are neither wholly good nor entirely evil, but a blend of light and shadow, reflecting the contradictions within us all. Their stories resonate because they speak to universal truths about the allure of knowledge, the weight of responsibility, and the fragility of the human spirit. They remind us that power, whether magical or mundane, is a tool that can shape destinies, but it is also a force that demands respect and humility. As we close this exploration, consider this. What would you sacrifice for ultimate knowledge? Would you, like Odin, hang from the world tree for 9 days to gain wisdom? Or would you, like Faust, risk everything for a taste of boundless power? These questions are not just hypothetical. They are invitations to reflect on our own lives, our own ambitions, and the choices that define us. The myths of sorcerers challenge us to think deeply about the nature of power, the pursuit of knowledge, and the values that guide us. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the spellbinding world of legendary sorcerers. If these stories have sparked your curiosity, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What lessons do you take from these myths? Which sorcerer's story resonates most with you? Share your reflections in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of history and myth. Until next time, keep wondering, keep questioning, and remember, the magic of these tales lies not just in their enchantment, but in the timeless truths they reveal about who we are and who we might become.